Alright, time for another draftphysics.com, debatephysics.com also. Video presentation. Yeah, that's the usual intro. Anyway, just do comments, I guess, because I'm not ready for part 3 of the papers I have to write. And it's going to be push-averse. So I guess I'll talk about that somewhere in here and see if I can start making the simple points. I mean, frankly, the paper really should be written just for the sake of hearing what kind of possible counter-argument could be made that, oh, that theory won't work. Yeah. The theory that says there's no such thing as any kind of elemental pull. Nothing pulls on something else. It's silly physics, okay? Physics demands that it really is. It's got to be called a push-averse. It's got to be understood that the only way two things can interact in any kind of real physical way is they have to push on each other. And everything that we see that looks like a pull is just an inverted push. It just means that the balance is uneven between two pushes and one push wins, and therefore it looks like, but it isn't like. And this absolute space argument kind of fits into that also. I mean, the very idea that people believe in this framey nonsense that I can start moving this and all of a sudden there'll be a bubble around it, some kind of bubble of bent space-time, and it exists in this bubble of bent space-time. So it's in 19 whatever, no, we'll say it's in 463 BC. And I'm here, in the modern time. I mean, it's just too ridiculous. This argument is just so silly that there's not real space. There's not real three-dimensional space. I mean, come on. It's just multiverses. I heard some crazy woman. She's at the Royal Academy place, right? The Royal Institution, whatever the fuck it's called. The place where Faraday made lectures and all that shit, talking this babble, and she goes to the point where she says anti-galaxy. Well, we haven't found any anti-galaxies yet. How do people fall for this crap, this anti-crap, this nonsense? It's just, oh, god damn, it's just so ridiculous. So anyway, you should be able to just draw up a simple diagram and say, look, this is, it's a physical universe. It's got real mechanisms in it, not fake, phony, babbly, wooey nonsense mechanisms. And, let them make the counter argument that they have some sort of real evidence that any of this crap means anything. But they'll just say, well, Dirac proved it with his mathematical formulation. Bullshit, he proved anything. But anyway, arguing math, that's all they resort to. Let's argue math. Math that doesn't have any rational symbols in it. Math that could take you 4 years to, calculate through the babble and the bullshit. It has little forky symbols that represent all the interactions in the universe. Oh yeah, let's find the wave function for the universe. Well, guess what? It'll take you forever because you have to itemize where the location is of everything in the universe. Oh, I mean, too ridiculous. And you still won't get the right answer. That's the big irony. Because you don't know what energy is. You're doing physics and you misunderstood the most elemental thing in physics. All right, so some Jason Hatfield. Yeah, I mean, I hate to block somebody right away, but I mean, shit, So, waste my time. Who is they in this discussion? What part? I'm sure the word they was brought up more than once in the hour-long video. Which they are you talking about, fuckhead? Yeah. I just, the wooist is probably the right answer. Okay. I'll just delete it. But fuck you, whatever that is. I mean, what the fuck? How could you possibly rationalize what you're doing into some sort of, well, this will be a cogent and relevant thing to say? No, it won't. I hate this planet so deeply and profoundly. So now there's a guy with a real name and a real icon, but yeah, no content on the channel. What do you think about superposition? Okay, now superposition used to be a rational word. So if you go back to probably the 1800s, I don't know when they first invented the word, but it used to mean, okay, that you have three things, like Newton's three object problem, three gravitational bodies. And the superposition just means that you just add the influences. There's no destruction of an influence. There's no balancing of an influence technically. They have to add. So you have to, they're real influences and you have to add them all up. Okay, you can't make something cancel, so to speak. I mean, that's probably not the best way to say it. But that they just add. That you just add this influence to this influence to this influence. You just figure out this influence, and then you can figure out this influence, and then you figure out this influence, and then you just add up all the influences. The problem is that each influence is moving each object, and that's the three-body problem, is that you can only do it once. You can only have one like static answer that will never be an answer for any situation except 1 millisecond of time, and a millisecond later that answer is no good. With moving objects, obviously the answer is constantly changing. But the new version of superposition is something being in the same motherfucking cunt, bastard, skanky, shit anus place, okay? That somehow you fucktards, and I'm just saying it's just so fucking stupid, that this would be your assumption or your axiom or this would be something you would believe unless you had really, really strong evidence, because everything in the universe screams things don't do this, okay? Everything screams we don't all pile into the same location and stay in the same exact place. The Earth and Venus, all this stuff doesn't collect into one little tiny little spot. It just doesn't goddamn happen. And why do you believe it? So superposition now means things are in the same fucking space. Somehow they're in the same space. They're all the checkers are, piled up on one little square. For some crazy, idiotic, moronic reason, you think that's how the game is played, the universe's game. And what do I think of that? I think that's fucking idiotic. I think it's idiotic to believe unless you have like really, really, really strong evidence that it actually happens, because it just breaks it just breaks the game. There's no checkers anymore. Okay. Anyway, I was making a video about it, but it seems a bit weird, and I got stuck somewhere showing why is bunk. Well, obviously, there's no examples. I can't look at your video. I can't say, well, this is where you went wrong. You just talk, really. It's just a useless statement, and guess what? It's completely off the fucking goddamn subject, which is kind of irritating. I mean, I'm talking about wave particle. Yes, that does implicate superposition and entanglement, because there's no real interference. Okay, the interference is a silly word. It doesn't happen. Photons don't bang into photons. Photons don't interfere with photons. And forces don't interfere with forces, and there is no light bending either, and it's all crap. Okay. But really not very useful. And I don't know how you couldn't surmise my opinion of superposition. I mean, how many of my videos do you have to watch before you'd figure out that, yeah, I really don't think two things are in the same fucking place? All right, so how much did you pay Michael for the work he did for you, scammer? So somehow I'm, so let's say I directly asked Michael, how much do I have to pay you? How much do I pay you to play a 5-minute video, play it, okay, and respond to it? He wouldn't give me a number. I asked him how much directly. How much do I have to pay you for a half-an-hour debate? How much do I have to pay you? I did it over and over again. I kept saying, well, look, if you're going to do this, the free part sucks. The part you're willing to do for free sucks. So let me pay you to do it my way. Okay? And he wouldn't provide a price. He wouldn't do it that way. He'll only do it his way. Okay? The cheater's way. Okay? The way I can't control. The way he can control. That's simple. Okay? So fuck you, jackass. There was no, obviously, every bit of the real facts indicate I gave him every opportunity to tell me what he expects, what he wants in return, to actually deal with the actual questions asked, the actual subject of the videos, and the points being made. I asked him to do that. All right? That's the truth of the matter, you fucker. All right, and you're just a lying, slandering scumbag, and that's all you people have is lies, slander, and scummery. All right, you fucker. And you prove it. I'm just saying, anybody who's watched the videos absolutely knows. We had a live conversation. We know how it went. We know, okay, that's exactly what happened, because it happened in public space. All right, it's in videos that are still on the channel where I'm directly asking him. All right, Elizabeth, I'm sorry we're going to have to say goodbye because you just can't get anything. All right, I'm not saying you're stupid, but yeah, I'm saying you're stupid. I've drawn it over and over. I mean, I can't make it any simpler. You keep referencing these other loop-de-doo nuts on the internet without actually providing any of their names. I don't know what you're looking for, but I'm not your answer, okay? You're looking for some kind of new woo or something, because you just won't accept an answer when I give it to you about how something's so fucking simple. It's 2 plus 2 plus 2 physics, for fuck's sake. There's only 2 kinds of force and 2 kinds of matter, and, well, technically there's 3 kinds of interactions. A reflection, an absorption, and then the transition, the change in the form of the force. Not very complicated at all. You just keep doing this shit over and over and over and over. All right, anyway. The funny thing is you got Piero to answer, which is funny. Also, another question. So we can say that photons are not a particle. They are an event. But what is the event made of? I mean, I couldn't have made it any clearer. It's made out of bits of force. I call them bits of force, okay? That gives you huge latitude. Bit of force means you can make them flying rabbits if you want. You can make them gremlins. You can make them fairy angels. You can make them Jesus slippers. You can make them anything the fuck you want to. The point is, as I stated over and over again, Einstein called them light quanta. That's all they need. They have a perfectly reasonable label. There's some sort of thing, okay, a thing that's very small, okay, that's moving. Is that too complicated? Oh, fuck. Anyway. Made it also not a wave. Again, there's no such thing as an elemental wave. So even if they were light quanta, even if you understood them as particles, you can understand that particles can wave. But these are not waving particles. Okay, they're particles. Like a laser beam isn't waving. It's just a bunch of little stuff with a distance between it that says this is red stuff and this would be blue stuff. That's all. There's just these quanta, and they have a distance between them that decides whether they're what kind of... I don't have a third pen here handy. Oh, there's one's a third pen handy. You see? So you just say, okay, there's blue light. Okay, I could do it this way. They put the little round circles. I already drew it, for fuck's sake. All right, and then this would be red light, you know, and then this would be microwaves, and then this would be radio waves. It's just a distance between a pile of momentum moving into a surface. And when it hits the surface, what it does is it puts a piece of energy in, and then that piece of energy is moving in the substance. Okay, it's being spread through the other electrons, and then another piece hits and it pushes behind one of the electrons, right? So the first one hits here, and then a second one can hit here, and a third one can hit here, And that's your polarization. Whoa! Right? Or your polarization could have been here, because the first one could hit here, and the second one could hit here, and the third one could hit here. And then you'd have enough energy to make a piece of electricity to move an electron from one atom to another atom. Oh, God damn it. All right, so Piero said that. He says that photons are a stream of particles, tons. Yeah, like all the other things, okay? So you want to make fun of the word ton. We can make fun. Okay, they're light quanta. We can take any word and we can mock it or play games with it. But yes, clearly, it's a bit of force. So let's see, B-O-F. They're boofs. Bits of force. Fuckers. All right, and she says, I thought he says are beams of force. Beams, where did I never said beams. I don't think of anything. I might have said rays once in a while, but I've never said beams of force. Making quanta, no. And that quanta can contain frequency is what create photons. So quanta create frequency. The distance, look, I already drew it, right? We all know I've drawn it over and over again. So this is just horseshit. I mean, maybe Elizabeth is just a troll. All right, so Piero continues for some dopey reason. I think the quanta are tons. Okay, you could just say they're, as I called them, they're light quanta. Okay, and photons are streams of them. They're rays of them in my by my argument, okay, according to DS question mark. Then she says, look, the video, he specifically, that since the beginning, he says photons are not a thing. The word photon, describing the event of photoning, that is making electricity, is an event. The photon, the light quanta, are things. They're just things with the common frequency. How can somebody not understand something this simple? You throw a baseball. You wait a half a second, you throw another one. You wait a half a second, you throw another one. There, you have a frequency of events happening. And if you hit that frequency at the right object, that is an object that has the right resonant frequency itself in terms of its oscillation, you can add energy to it. Are an event made of light quanta. Okay. Yes, the light quanta are particles. There you go. I'm not sure that is why I'm asking. Well, you're done asking here anyway. Okay, so we'll just remove this one, but I'm just done with this. So here she goes again. Also, can you say that due to the fact that the two surfaces are so close, so they're not so close. I mean, a millimeter, a half or 3/4 of a millimeter isn't that close, especially when you consider how big an electron is. Frankly, that's about 1 billion trillion electrons could fit in between that space. The interaction between the electrons on the surface make them bounce in a sense because of repulsion. So we could get into the Casimir effect, what they call it. Anyway, the idea that, look, when you put two surfaces close to each other, the two surfaces have to become compatible. One of them will have to switch positive. That is, the electrons will actually go into the surface. It'll become positive. And the other side, the electrons win, so they stay negative. But that will happen to two surfaces when you bring them close enough together. But that's really fucking close. I mean, it seems like the length or quanta, the length are quanta reflection between the two surfaces and having an interaction and creating two surfaces, as you say. I don't even know how that could be a coherent statement. But regardless, that's not the subject of the video. It has nothing to do with the tiny thin piece of material that you're shining light across a surface. I drew what the surface looks like. The argument is that a surface on the molecular level is not a piece of flat paper, okay? A piece of flat paper on the atomic level isn't a piece of flat paper, okay? It's a bunch of shit. Electrons all over the fucking goddamn place. People are so fucking stupid. Anyway, haven't watched the video you're responding to because it's a waste of my time. So, fuck you, bag boy, he calls himself. So, this is obviously Trollaton, Farley or something. So I may be misunderstanding the context, but I think you're referring to the double slit pattern. I say called it slip pattern. Although the electron interference explanation you're positing is specifically plausible, it doesn't hold up when comparing it with the single slit pattern. It's difficult to explain in text, but imagine one of the dark bands in the double slit experiment. If one of the two slits is covered, then the dark band will be brighter because more photons reach that point. So that's a fake experiment. All right, that is a completely, it doesn't happen. Okay, it's fake. Okay, it doesn't happen. You can't make more photons. You're changing the position from which the photons are coming from. All right, in the sense of the point sources, and that's all you can change. So as you move the pattern, you know, you'll have a place where two outside surfaces are in phase, and there's a place where the two inside surfaces can be in phase, and just tiny movements in the surface will change which ones are in phase and which ones are out of phase. Obviously, I mean, you move it just the frequency of the light, right? I mean, just this tiny, you know, 400 nanometers of distance. You move the target, you're changing which ones are making photons and which ones aren't. All right. If you are interested, I recommend watching Feynman's lecture on the subject. So let's understand, Feynman overtly, clearly, should I play the clip again? For a good 5 minutes of the lecture, 5 fucking minutes of the lecture, he starts with the sentence, I wish they didn't teach you this shit. Okay? Photons are a particle, a clump, not a wave. He's arguing that exact point. He's emphasizing it. He's saying, it's a clump, it's a clump, it's a clump. We have clump detectors. The clump detectors, that's how they work. It's clumps. Photons are whole objects. They're not half objects. They're not quarter objects. They're whole clumps. Waves can't do that. He spends 5 full fucking minutes saying this to you morons. And then you'll reference Feynman as a defender. Feynman's theory is that anything that goes through the slit gets magically randomized by the magical random god, okay? And then it just happens that a whole bunch of the stuff goes straight through the middle, even though they're all supposed to be evenly randomized. So he has no coherency. He can't even draw the pattern correctly. I mean, why the hell would you go to Feynman for the answer? Did you see his drawing of the two slit? You know, the 1965 version. And then, yes, in 1980, he made it clear. I mean, in 1980, he stated it right to your faces. He said, it's not a wave. All right. I cannot post links here, but you can find it by searching Feynman, the Character of Physical Law, Part 6. Well, listen to Part 1. Where he just rips photons, you know, the wave theory, a new asshole. Oh, God, you people are so... All right, watch the video to get an opinion. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. As someone interested in science, yeah, I don't know if that's what you're interested in, Elizabeth. You must do that. If I am coming to this channel because I have already seen a lot of information about physics, that seems to be nonsense either. There's other guys. So this is the part where I'm just sick of this shit. Okay, you keep referencing, you keep saying, and you're not even smart enough to figure out how to post the person's name you're talking about. I'm sure they have a name that I could look up and say, well, yeah, you're going to compare my words to this loop-de-doo nonsense. Okay, that has some opinion about quarks and those ideas. Yeah, well, go play there. Okay, I'm sure he believes in UFOs or some other nonsense. Oh, I just hate you people. Thanks for the concern, but I've been following DraftScience off and on for 7 years and basically know what he's going to say before he even opened his mouth by this point. Yes, yeah, well, that's how it should be, right? It seems impossible that I have to spend 10 fucking years making these basic points that really there hasn't and there never will be any rational response, okay, in terms of a counter argument, an explanation for how the simple theory is wrong and the complex theory is correct. He kind of repeats himself a lot, as you might notice, and it doesn't matter. So I repeated myself in this very video that really deconstructs the double slit experiment. It points out exactly what the math is doing. It says more about what it has more predictive power than any other video. So show me any other, link me to any other video on the internet that explains the double slit experiment more accurately, that tells you it's the outside surface dimension that creates the small bars, that it's the small surface dimensions that create the big bars, that there's a limited finite number of bars, there's always a finite number of fringes. There's not an infinite number. They don't go on a flat plane forever. None of that crap actually happens. So everything they impose on people's brains as some sort of phenomenon isn't true. And if they drew it the way they should, that is, draw it on a curved surface, people would understand, oh, yeah, this is a finite pattern. All right. So, fuck you. You'll be done here, too. But goodbye, Kathy. Elizabeth. Yeah, sorry. I'm just had my fill, thank you. All right, so this comment by the bag boy. All right, Physics Michael already answered all these questions. That's a big, fat, fucking lie. All right, especially about wave-particle duality. He didn't say a damn thing, okay, on that subject. Where did he talk about wave-particle duality? See? Did I have any conversation with physicist Michael about how the two-slit experiment is a fraud, a fake, a phony, and a pile of absolute nonsense? No. Okay. As did several commenters here. So, big lie. So just big lie. I mean, it's only a monstrous lie. None of that happened. Yeah, okay. Use the technique where you constantly shift topics. So fake, phony, bullshit accusation again. I've labeled the topic as narrow as possible. I'm going to do 3 or 4 of these simple topics, and that's it. Block people. Of course, I block people because they're just distractions. They're just getting off the subject, not on the subject. And deliberately straw manning. So where's the straw man? So all of these are just accusations with no substance ever. What some others say when responding. Okay, so I'm giving you the opportunity to respond. I'm saying have somebody, like, especially if you're blocked, well, there's plenty of other people that aren't, and there's other people who make videos. So you just go to Gosling's channel and you could just post, your link to something called evidence or reasoning. But there isn't any. So if there's some argument you have made, all right, there's some argument made somewhere that I have somehow ignored or cheated or hidden from, well then please post it and I'll put it on my website. Because that's exactly what I want. I want to take my paper and then I want to take your answer to my paper and put them next to each other. And then show people just how stupid and ludicrous their physics is, that it does in fact have no evidence. So I ask to see, where is your proof that 4 pounds dropped 1 foot is the same energy as 1 pound dropped 4 feet? Oh, okay, you just say it's true for 350 years, but you never prove it. Oh, okay, that's how science works. Yeah, fuck you. All right. Let's see. Then you proceed to block, filter, and ignore. Again, we've seen why I block. It's because your fake accounts, bag boy, first. All right, it has no integrity. Second, you make 17,000 accusations that I'm not going to waste my time having to defend myself against your false, phony, fake lies. Okay, that's not my obligation. And so you're obviously doing it just to waste my time. Obviously, that's the tactic of the person who doesn't have an argument, is to just make up a lie. All right, this allows you to create the illusion of your dumb audience that no one has any answers to your so-called questions. So what makes it obvious you don't have any answers is Piro can't post one, you can't post one, nobody can post an answer. Ian Gosling can't, to save his life, make a rational video about actual theory. He doesn't think you can slide across thin ice. All right, but this is just a technique. Yeah, and it works. The technique is called fair fight. Yeah, I'll apply the fair fight rules. Whether this is pointed out, so all this talk, and he's not saying anything. He's not demonstrating anything about where their great physics is. He's not showing us the great physics, the great experiment. Again, we have to go to Mythbusters to find these basic experiments. We have to go to some fringe place somewhere because regular physics, NASA doesn't have the video. NASA doesn't have the let's drop something. Let's drop 4 pounds on the moon, okay, and 1 pound from 4 times the height on the moon. Did they do that one? No. Let's see. You clutch your pearls and exclaim that you have thousands and thousands of hours of videos, and anyone who watches can go back and look up what you said, how you responded to this or that, etc. But this is absurd. Well, why? Your videos are not indexed. Well, they are titled, frankly. 80% of them have something in the title, MV. They have some sort of reference that you can know what subject they're on. In a rational way that allows one to look up specific topics. Okay, now let's just, for the sake of argument, let's just acknowledge that the website is now, it couldn't be any more focused. There's, whatever it is, 10 keywords, thrust, heat, energy, all the keywords are right there. And there's not 10,000 reference videos. There's one video saying this is basically where I am at this point in time on this subject. So it couldn't be much clearer. And then the the debate physics website can't make it much easier either. They're 5-minute videos on very specific experiments that demonstrate a truth. And you can't respond to any of them. I couldn't pay Physics Michael to sit there and play one of those videos and actually deal with the argument actually being made. All right, but this is absurd. The video's not indexed. Yes, they are. And look up specific points raised by your critics regarding these topics. Again, they can make their specific points over and over again. Ian Gosling has the same power to make videos that I do. He can make a video on all the questions I haven't answered, all the points I haven't made. He can make that video. He chooses to make 3-minute videos, throwing apples up in the air and you see me catch him on his nose. That's his choice. All right, but he could make all these videos about all the subjects where I ignored some profoundly great piece of evidence. Has he done that? No. He hasn't even compiled his own experimental videos and said, well, this is the one I think that was really good. Here's a really good experiment that isn't flawed and broken in a pile of shit. Here, tear this one a new asshole. He can't even do that. So fuck you. I mean, they leave up videos that I have debunked. He left up a video, for fuck's sake, where he said something completely stupid. Launching 2 objects horizontally, off of a surface. All right, so they're perpendicular to the ground. And he stated that the one with twice the velocity flies 4 times as far. He said that, he left it up. He didn't even take the video down. Didn't even annotate it by saying, wow, I said something really stupid in this video. That's how disconnected these opposers of me are. They couldn't care less about any kind of rational process. Are you thinking that's a rational process? They left up videos that they know they said something completely wrong. amazing. Your so-called responses to these critiques, etc. Most normal people would be capable of recognizing what you're doing. So obviously most people recognize that all my videos are up. All right, I do take the time to respond to garbage contents, insults, nonsense. I have viewed all these silly experiments and spent a great deal of time having to sit there and figure out where they hid the trick, okay, where they fucked up, where they spent hours manipulating the experiment to force it to come out their way. Yeah, so fuck you, asshole. All right. Troll, Farley. All right, make it happen. Well, that's just not brilliant, but we'll have to accept it. Yes, I'll do my best. Fuck you. God damn it. I mean, I only got a few things on a pile of things to do. And, I'm old and I don't feel good. Yeah, you fuckers. You motherfuckers. All right, why haven't they redone the Eddington experiment from space? Okay, is the key point. Because they have done analogous, but more precise experiments. So that's a lie. The Eddington experiment is an optical experiment. Huge difference. Okay, you're going to bend a whole image. All right, profoundly different than just getting a piece of scatter. So fog is a perfect example, right? Fog is what scatter looks like. So you can understand that fog, that is banging into particles and creating scatter, can't move an image. Okay, fog is exactly, it's like the opposite of image clarity would be the word fog. So scatter sucks at doing images. So that's the key point, is that if you want to evade getting confused by scatter, use images, because image motion is scatter resistant. You can't move an image with scatter. Scatter won't work. Key difference, they even talk about it. The physicists even talk about it because they know this is a problem, because they'll say they do one of these different experiments and they'll say, well, we think we've approximated the amount of scatter and that blah, 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 and that it's not scatter causing the effect. But obviously the whole, the NASA engineer, I could use his word, the lamb of the sun, he states overtly, NASA has never seen light bend outside the lamb of the sun. That is the place where it's noisy and there's a bunch of particles causing scatter. So outside the scatter zone, it's a NASA engineer, worked in lasers at NASA, never seen bending further away than the scatter field. What's your counter argument? Oh, he's a liar. He was really a commie spy. Fuck you. Let's see. For example, with distance radio sources. Right, and again, so you're going right through the dirty parts. Right through the dirty parts of the entire universe even. Right? So there's all these globule clusters. There's all kinds of dirty shit in the universe. So of course you can bang signals off of dirty shit. Okay, you can scatter it. So I can take a laser beam, shoot it into a fish tank, let's say that's an inch thick, right, and full of smoky water, and then I can scatter the laser beam in all directions, and then I can be standing over here, right? So I'm shooting the laser beam this way. I can have somebody stand over here, and they'll say, "Lensing, it gravitationally lensed." No, it didn't gravitationally lens. You just bent the light with scatter. So you can bend a radio wave. Radio waves right now bounce off of clouds, for fuck's sake. Is that gravitational lensing? Yeah, fuck you. All right. The publications have been linked to you. Where? Okay, so show me that. I haven't seen any of that. Okay, and every single fucking thing they link to, I went to the website and pointed out how, no, there's no evidence here that this isn't scatter. Yes, you can shoot light right next to the sun, where there's a ton of electrons, And you can pick up the signal almost anywhere you want. You can stand anywhere and say, I got it, I got it, I got it, I got it. Because yes, it gets scattered, you retard. Okay. Anyway. But you didn't read them, liar. Okay. And they actually have repeated the Eddington experiment several times as well. No, they haven't. So it's a lie. Okay. So there's just no point. These are liars. Obviously, these other Eddington experiments they attempted, one of them was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, forget it. No chance at all. The margin of error on that one was gigantic just because it was so late in the day. So dirty. Space is 800 times a better resolution than a 3 o'clock in the afternoon eclipse. A 3 o'clock in the afternoon eclipse, space is 800 times better resolution. You're just such a liar. Okay, so that's all lies. Air tracks are no good because... and again, these are coming from people who are supposed to love science. So you're telling me as a science lover that you don't care that they never dropped 4 pounds 1 foot and 1 pound 4 feet. You don't care that the most... something proving that light, the only force possibly bent, the only thing moving the speed of light bent by gravity... no other thing, magnetism, all the other stuff, nothing can ever be bent, and light's bent twice as much. And you don't care that they've never been able to successfully repeat the experiment. And you don't care that the original experiment, the guy says in his own journal, I wouldn't stake my life on these results. Because he got 10% of the data quality. 10%. Huge, giant defect in the data quality. And you're comfortable with that. It's called science. We have proven you should shut up because we have found the truth. We know the truth. We know the truth. We know the truth. You must believe what we say is the truth based on evidence that's shitty. And I'm supposed to think you're a fair cop? No, you're a fucking Muslim. All right. Air tracks are no good because the carts tilt. It's just a fact. Okay, I made one and I watched the air and I said, gee, it really is hard to balance it. Everything has to be perfectly balanced or the damn thing does this shit. And this shit means, well, a little bit more air went out this side than went out that side. It's just a fact that it becomes a little bit of a jet engine. The air has to leave, okay, through the front or the back of the cart, you idiot. You don't see that as an issue? It's not possible that could have an effect? I mean, it's just this is just amazing that these people will sit there and defend things they really have no business defending. They really should say, yeah, it would be better if we had something where they weren't introducing energy. Because introducing energy into the system is dangerous. You think they could at least just say the words, yeah, I get that. It seems like a pretty chaotic source of error. Well, that pretty much makes the point, isn't it? Yet Lewin was able to get the results he wanted, like everyone else. So I'm amazed by the point, because as I pointed out, he only got them because the carts didn't have the right weight. And then again, when he did the second experiment, all right, with a cart that was not loaded with shit, right? It was no clay. No, there was the clay. The clay was on the second cart. So the cart that... the second cart had a whole long strip of clay on it. Okay, the twice as heavy cart. Very clean. All very smooth, pretty. Okay, and that cart, when hit elastically without a spring, went less than half the speed. All right, twice the force, twice the momentum. Twice the velocity. That's Isaac Newton. You want to go twice the speed? You put in twice the force. That's Isaac Newton. Okay. Yeah, twice the force, twice the acceleration, twice the velocity. What's the problem? Your argument is it takes 4 times the force to go twice the velocity. That's what 1/2 mv squared says. So you don't see the problem? Fuck. You can't argue for 1/2 mv squared as the truth, that's conserved, and then argue that twice the force, twice the energy. Force is a form of energy. Are you conceding that? I mean, the force can't be uneven to the energy, right? So you really have to concede that a force has to be defined as energy, not momentum specifically. Why? Let's see. So Superior Mind says, why didn't? Because analogy experiments, no citation, and also they did do the experiment several times, no citations. Okay, so both, yes, he didn't cite any of this stuff he claimed, that these analogy experiments are the same experiment when they're not anywhere close. Okay. Atmospheric scattering will redirect light around a star. Use Jupiter and do it in space. Test for accurate prediction. So, yes, Jupiter has a pretty thick atmosphere, and they've clearly shot crap through it. But that's not the Eddington experiment. They haven't shot image data. Okay, you already watched the explanation, didn't you? You are pretending. There's a reason you don't use 0.5 MV squared in real-world applications. It's not accurate. You're squaring the velocity. Need I say more? Well, the point is, it's to make it very clear. I mean, really. Twice the force, twice the velocity. 3 times the force, 3 times. See, he did the extra 3-time thing just to make sure you could follow along. 3 times the force, 3 times the velocity. Not 9 times the velocity, 3 times the velocity. Do you think this is how acceleration works? Accelerate 4, velocity 10. I don't know why the 10 is there exactly. Acceleration times 2 is minus 8. Well, I'm not going to, whatever those numbers are for, I don't know. They didn't, because analogy experiments, no citation. So then he just brings up some, he probably just Wikipedia'd it, all right, comes up with some crap. 2009, progress in measurements of gravitational bending of radio waves using the VLBA. Is this any good? So it's our job to go through each one of these experiments and point out how, well, that's obviously inside the lamp of the sun. So yes, there's no one arguing that if you shoot radio waves through a particle field, you will get scatter. And the scatter, you'll be able to receive the signal anywhere you want to. So you can bend it a lot or bend it a little. Because some of it will get bent in every direction. It's like the fringe pattern in the double slit, okay? I mean, the light goes in and you get light over here. And you get light over here. It's bent. You're going to call that gravitational lensing? Okay, they also do the experiment several times. Yeah, so more lies. There's a reason we don't use point in the real world applications. Yeah, I know, you don't use it. I don't know who's talking here. Yeah, I know, you don't use it. And he's crying. So, as I pointed out, there's every indication that the lunar module that landed on the moon didn't even have the formula in the computer. It wasn't even in the computer. That's how useless it is as a formula. That's how unlikely it is to help an astronaut whose life depends on the math getting right answers. So this formula wasn't even in the computer. And he's laughing. He thinks he's winning. All right, no, acceleration describes how fast velocity changes your change. I mean, this change in velocity, it's just all nonsense. It's just quite clear. The lever proves it. The law of the lever proves there can't be any 1/2 mv squared. It proves it. All right, use Jupiter and do it in space. They have used, so another unreferenced claim. They have used Jupiter. You can Google it. Did they send images? Did they bend images? Simple enough question, right? That's the editing experiment. Bend an image of the sun, an image of some object. Bend the image object, okay? Bending light, scattering is what you have to avoid, because scatter can look like but scatter isn't gravitational bending. All right. Let's see, if one mass going 5v collides with 5 mass going 1v, what do you think would happen according to eventual theory? So, the question is if I put a 10-ton train going 5 miles an hour on this side of a steel rope, and then I put a 10-ton train going 5 miles an hour on this side, right? 5-ton going 10, 10-ton going 5. Your silly, nonsensical bullshit theory is that somehow the 5 drags the 10-ton train. It wins so decisively. It drags it off in victory. When, yeah, we all know, no, it doesn't. The two things provide a balanced amount of energy in the two directions. They have the same capacity to push in the universe. You're a fucktard, an idiot, and an asshole. There, that's enough of that. All right, let's see. So the next video will be about absolute space. But the push thing is just so important. I mean, just recognizing that, doesn't physics lose all science-ness? Isn't all the science sucked out of it as soon as you start doing this? I'm going to impose a spiritual power on something and pull it towards me. I'm going to pull. I mean, pull is, as an elemental function, it just can't be something you think is plausible. And once you recognize it's a push-averse, you understand, yeah, it's all just balancing the pushes, And what do you happen when two pushes come in and they're a little bit off-center? You spin something. The rotation is where you can store some energy that way. You can also store it just bouncing back and forth inside a pressurized tank, for example. And yeah, it's just a matter of letting go of stuff going this way, and that means you'll end up going this way because you've changed the balance. So everything's in a balanced field, relatively speaking. I mean, relativity is real in the sense that there's associated relativity. I mean, objects in the same area very likely can have the same condition they're in. And so they are equally being affected. And then they can do something to break that equality. But yeah, everything that happens to you is just a matter of you undoing a balance. So if I look like I'm not moving, and then I let something fly out of my ear going that way, you can logically understand that what did I really do by letting something go that way? It means I've changed the balance, and now all the stuff I have going this way is now not balanced because this was balancing this. And without this, as I let go, this is still pushing. It just makes the point that the energy doesn't die, the energy is always there, and you have to balance it. You can't cancel it. You can't destroy it. You can only balance it. And when you're balancing it, something else has to happen, like something's going. All right. That's probably enough of a video. But I mean, it's such an obvious concept, and it's key to everything, frankly. I mean, if you people really thought about it and said, yes, it's a push-averse, there's just nowhere to take push-averse into all the bullshit that you've created. But anyway, till the next time, we'll work on it. Blah, 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 blah. God, there's something wrong with my eyes.